Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today we're going to take a look at Mercury in the sign of Virgo, making a trine to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. This is a very beneficial aspect in the trine. Both planets are in an earth sign, and so we have this kind of flowing earthy connection between the two planets that we'll be looking at today. So on that note, before we get into it, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. As of the time I'm recording this, we are very close to 70,000 subscribers, which has been a goal of ours for a little bit here. And so I'm hoping by the time that this actually airs that maybe we're even over 70,000. But either way, your subscription means a lot to us. If you listen to the channel and you enjoy it, subscribing is free and it helps us grow our work and our business. So thank you. Transcripts of any of my daily talks can be found on the website nightlightastrology.com. I want to take you over there right now because if we go up to the courses page, I want to point you to the first year program, which is beginning again on November 16th. This is our next cohort for the Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic program, a one-year immersion into Hellenistic astrology. You can learn more about it here on the course page. Again, it starts November 16th. Pre-registration sale is available now all the way until October 15th. So you have a chance to save on the price of the course or the price of an early bird installment plan. And as always, we have need-based tuition, available for people who are on a fixed or limited income and need a little bit of help to make your goal of studying astrology possible. We want to make sure that people aren't priced out. So if you're hurting, or maybe you're a single parent, you're on disability, or you just have a tight fixed income and you can't go outside of your means, we understand that. And if you could really use it, please do click on apply now for tuition assistance. You pick within a range and we set you up with a plan that's tailored to something that will work for you. So, and then we ask people who can afford it to please use the early bird options right now before October 15th. Again, those are available. And at the end of today's talk, I will be tagging on an informational video to today's video so that if you want to stick around, you can learn more about the one-year program. It's about a 10-minute video or so in which I break down everything the course includes and who it's good for, what you get out of it. And so stick around for that afterwards. Any questions you have at all, email us info@nightlightastrology.com. Soon I will be advertising for October's webinar, which is on the topic of astrological compatibility techniques and some of my opinions about the stuff that really doesn't work and the stuff that does. So I'll say more about that probably next week. And by the way, if you're also brand spanking new, check out the beginner's course, which is about 8 hours worth of recordings that if you are like totally new to astrology, can really help you get going in your studies and prepare you for our year one program. All right. On that note, now let's flip over to the real-time clock and take a look at this aspect. The aspect is perfecting today. And so the energy was very much present yesterday. You'll also probably experience it today and tomorrow. Although tomorrow we get right into the Mercury-Neptune opposition that's also happening, forming in the sky today within a degree. So here we are, Tuesday, September 24th, and Mercury is trine to Uranus. Tomorrow on the 28th or 25th, Mercury will be opposite Neptune, and then later in the day will actually trine Pluto. So working its way through contacts with all outer planets. And I opened the week yesterday by kind of covering all of these aspects in one go. Today we want to focus in on Mercury and Uranus in particular and give you a few ideas about the archetypal combination and what you might notice or expect. So here are 5 things to watch for. You know I love my lists of 5. Number 1 would be sudden insights or ideas. Look, the most basic thing that often happens when Mercury and Uranus contact, regardless of the aspect of the trine, tends to be a little bit more, let's call it easier, is that you will have sudden insights or ideas. Now, an idea might be something brand new you've never thought of before, and maybe it will lead to taking some concrete or practical actions, which would probably be the case given that these two planets are in Earth signs. Some idea, brand new. Wow, never thought of that never thought of that before. A little light bulb moment. And then immediately it becomes, what is the practical action here? Earth signs love to do things about it, So, the suddenness, though, is Uranian, and the insight is Mercurial. So that, and to a certain extent, Uranian. So this combination of planets, especially when I've seen people having transits of, say, Uranus to their natal Mercury, they often coincide with periods of just a lot of sudden unexpected insights about ourselves, about other people, about our jobs, or about a subject you study. Could be anything, but the feeling is that the light has just gotten cranked up. Like if there's a dimmer switch of our awareness about things, all of a sudden the lights got a lot stronger, and there's this kind of Promethean light bringing quality that's very mental, and so it reflects itself in very like vivid, interesting, compelling ideas that we get captured by. And then the other, so the idea is one, but insight is another thing. And they're similar, but they're a little different insofar as an insight might be a sudden level of awareness that you have about something, that you're able to comprehend or understand something that you've been in the process of trying to understand but haven't yet understood, or that there was something you were working on in the back of your mind somewhere, and all of a sudden, boom, now I see, now I have the insight. So sudden insights into things that have been unconscious that are suddenly illuminated, or brand new ideas you've never thought before that might have some kind of practical action. Oh my God, what if we did this? And then let's go. Watch for that combination of themes in the sky today. Number 2 would be solutions to problems or inventive thinking. When Mercury and Uranus get together in any kind of aspect, there is often a challenge to our way of thinking. Can we think more freely, more openly? Can we diverge from the status quo in our mind and consider original, inventive, outside of the box kinds of ideas? Well, one of the greatest parts about this is that if you're stuck on a problem and you've been trying to figure out what to do about something that's not easy, all of a sudden you will have this solution, and it will appear just like that light bulb or that lightning strike. Unexpectedly, suddenly, boom, now I know the solution to the problem. I know what to do about this thing that I've been stuck on. This can also coincide with inventive thinking, where you come up with a brand new way of doing something or a brand new way of thinking about something, and it's sort of unexpected, but circumstances lead to a point where all of a sudden you're like, I can't believe I didn't see this before. How did I not think about this great idea before? Similar to a brand new idea, but with inventive thinking, there's also a way of utilizing existing things that you're all familiar with. You're familiar with already, and in that sense, there's nothing really brand new about it. But the combination and the way you combine things, ideas, objects, people, energies in a way that you've never done so before leads to something brand new. So what I love about inventiveness, if you think about the image of an inventor, I think a little bit about like Hermes, who is called inventive, and Hermes, Mercury, was the ruler of inventors in ancient astrology. It's associated with them. And so I think about people like tinkering around and looking at stuff they have in the junk drawer and then building a robot out of it, But there's something like that about Mercury-Uranus, where you're looking at things, none of which you're unfamiliar with. All of the things in the junk drawer, you know what they all are, and you know what they all do. But it's the way that you're thinking about using them in new ways that you've never used them before, or combining them in new or different ways. So I like to think of this as inventive thinking, and it's a Mercury-Uranus dynamic anyway. Number 3, unexpected twists or turns, new news or information. That should be here. Let me edit that. I'll put that back up. Unexpected twists or turns, news or information. So the unexpected piece of news, the Mercury as the messenger contacting Uranus, the deliverer of unexpected news. So now we have the sudden unexpected delivery from the messenger. That could mean an email. That could mean an unexpected announcement. That could mean something happens that you really were not expecting. In the trine, that's generally a little bit easier and more constructive than, say, a square or an opposition or even a conjunction, where the delivery of that unexpected news might be a little bit more erratic or destabilizing. The nice thing about the trine is that it although Uranus can be destabilizing when it connects with Mercury in a trine, there's maybe a disruptive quality, but I'm not sure I would go so far as to call it destabilizing. We'll see. Generally speaking, I feel like the trines from Uranus shake things up, but in a way that's a little easier to integrate. It's less like rattling of your foundations. So anyway, unexpected twists or turns can come up just in circumstance. Usually there will be a sense of opening, expansion, and like almost like a benefic or fortunate energy behind this with a trine. But still, the unexpectedness can be a little jarring. And then on the other hand, unexpected news or unexpected information just coming to light can also be disruptive. But in a trine, again, you often think of this twist, turn, unexpected news or information being beneficial in some way, and maybe even like practically useful with the emphasis on Earth. Number 4 would be an unexpected clearing of obstacles. This one has to do with the fact that Uranus is often associated with emancipation, liberation from constraint or confinement. So Uranus loves freedom. Uranus loves the liberation from things that are stuck or like more recalcitrant. Like, let's open it up. And this could come as Mercury, as the guide of the soul in a trine with Uranus, can bring about a kind of moment of greater freedom or liberation from what? From things that have been stuck or stagnant, or things that we would describe as an obstacle one way or another. So I love this because this is a very helpful energy on a certain level. Like, hey, let's get clear of some obstacles. And then finally, we have defiance and rebellion in mind or speech. Uranus, another major signification, is defiance, rebellion, a kind of wayward, restless, erratic, rebellious energy. Mercury is associated with the mind, and so you put them together in a trine, and you get kind of like effective acts of mental or intellectual defiance or rebellion, or originality would be another word of saying it. Defying convention or the status quo could also be sort of defiant and rebellious in ways that are, a little bit more troublesome, like a kid that's getting into trouble, But like overall, the defiance or rebellion in mind and speech is also associated with things like inventiveness and originality. So a really nice energy overall. I think that defiance and rebellion in mind and speech in a trine is probably going to be less inclined to like burn bridges through what it suddenly says or reveals or decides to get into an argument about. The trine will probably keep it a little bit like more constructive, which is probably a good thing, but still freeing things up mentally, intellectually, communication that frees or liberates, and it has maybe a little bit of a defiant or rebellious edge. I'm not going to do the thing that's always been done. I'm going to deviate from a set course. I'm going to, blaze a trail. That need to go beyond convention, beyond habit, beyond tradition. It's a little iconoclastic at times, in fact. But anyhow, these are the things that I would watch for given this combination. Short and sweet today, because we are in the midst right now of producing and publishing our beginners course. So it's a little bit of a busy week for me. But we do have a really nice, long, juicy episode tomorrow on Mercury's opposition to Neptune. And I'm reading you an essay from the astrologer Jeffrey Cornelius, who is what I would consider one of my mentors, and in astrology, someone who's sort of set an example for me of some things I really value. He came and taught, and I got to know him a little bit back in 2014 for my students for a whole week, which was fantastic. And anyway, in that essay, he discusses the idea that astrologers, what we're doing is almost like part mediumship or divination. And I think that that is a really, really important topic. And so I thought it would make for a fun, interesting way of celebrating and memorializing his life by reading that essay and considering his thoughts, which are very Mercury-Neptune, around what's going on when we do astrology and the kind of spiritual transmission that is a huge part of astrology. That means that astrology can't be considered just a pure like mechanistic empirical science. Anyway, that is it for today. I hope you will enjoy the rest of what we got planned for the week. And don't forget, after I sign off, there's an informational video about our upcoming Year 1 program, which starts November 16th. Pre-registration sale is available till October 15th. Need-based tuition there for you as well. So stick around to hear more about it, and I hope to see some of you in class soon. Bye. Hey, everyone. I'm glad that you're sticking around to hear more about the Year 1 program that's coming up. The program starts on November 16th of this fall, and I am here today to tell you all that the program includes and why I think you really like it if you're thinking about studying astrology. So a few practical details about the course as well. The class begins November 16th, as I mentioned, but it takes place on Saturdays from 12 to about 2 or 3 p.m. Eastern time. So that's 11 to 2 Central, and typically classes are about 2 hours long. Sometimes they run over with Q&A and discussion, but you can always plan for about 2 hours and you won't miss any of the actual lecture content for the day. You may have to duck out a little early if Q&A or discussion is extending. Sometimes it does, which is why we say between 2 and 3 hours, but typically it's around 2. All of the classes are recorded, so if you can't attend live, you are more than welcome to watch the recordings at your own pace and on your own time. You have lifetime access to the recordings, and everything is housed on a student website. I want to actually give you a just a little preview of what that student website looks like. So I am going to open up my own version of Thinkific, which is the platform that we use. So here's are some of my courses. These are all the Nightlight courses I teach. You can see on the page. But I'm going to tune into, let's go to Nightlight 28, which is the section that began in June of 2024. So here you're going to see that we have orientation instructions, course information, class links, and calendar. Everything that you need to know how to access the course is there, and you'll have a version of this in your own panel that you get set up with when you enroll. And then our lessons are laid out. So lesson 1, we have the video, the audio, the slides, the transcript. We have the Q&A box transcript so you can see what people were saying in the chat box during class. We have flashcards. We have a workbook. We have planet and sign glyph flashcards. We have bonus material, videos that we like from YouTube that we link you to. Say, check this video out, check that video out. They go along with some of the things we talked about in class. So every lesson has material for you to go as far as you want with, but the main thing is the video, audio, slides, transcript, etc. are all listed there so that you can download and watch it on your own time if you can't attend live. Again, the live classes do happen on Saturdays for this cohort, starting November 16th. That is our first day of class. And then going forward, it always meets on Saturdays, and we give you the class schedule to map out. And the breaks that we have, the study sessions that we have, everything's mapped out on the class calendar for you. So those are just a few practical details that, just to kind of start us off with. So I'm going to take you over to the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. And I'm going to share with you some information about the program and sort of walk you through what it includes and what you can expect. So it is an almost year-long program. We typically finish between 10 and 11 months out of the year. It can depend a little bit on some of my teaching and scheduling, because sometimes I teach at conferences and it may delay some of our modules by a week or something like that. But it's typically around 10 to 11 months that the program lasts. So we call it our first year program. At Nightlight, we have a program for absolute beginners. You may want to check that out if you are like brand spanking new. That would be 8 to 10 hours of content that's really meant to set you up for the first year course. We sort of assume that if you're coming into the first year program, you already know a little bit about astrology. For example, you have some familiarity with the signs, planets, and houses. Maybe you know what aspects are, but you want to learn more about what they are. But if you are really at the very total entry level space, then try Astrology for Beginners. And when you take that, you could do that right away and then join the first year course in November, and you'd be perfectly set up for it. But anyhow, in this program, over the course of about a year, we work through 30 lessons that I lead. And those lessons are all 2 to 3 hours each, including lecture, a little break, and a Q&A portion where we open up for people to come on mic and camera and ask questions and have an interactive discussion about the material for the day. The program is broken into modules that cover a variety of topics in ancient Hellenistic astrology. That is the earliest era of horoscopic astrology. And so if you don't know a lot about the different schools of astrology, Hellenistic astrology is going to be the kind of astrology that you see a lot of astrologers practicing nowadays. It's become more popular in the last 30 years or so. And that is due to the fact that a lot of ancient texts with some of the original techniques of horoscopic astrologers were recently translated into the English language, and it's created this renaissance in terms of the use of ancient approaches to astrology. I have a background in modern psychological, archetypal, and evolutionary astrology, and so of course I bring those things to the table, but the course is primarily focused on the excavation of ancient techniques and the spiritual philosophy that ancient astrologers also espoused. The closest thing that I can tell you to what that looks like is, ask this question: do you resonate with the philosophy that you hear me take on my YouTube channel? If so, then you're going to love this course in terms of its philosophical and spiritual approach, because the spiritual approach to astrology that I teach is really at the heart of the program. And that's a big part of my life. I approach astrology from a spiritual standpoint. It doesn't belong to one religion or one particular school of thought, but you will hear me talking about things like the soul, the belief in the transmigration of the soul. You'll hear me talk about the need to be soul-centered in our client approach to counseling in astrology. You'll hear me have an appreciation for psychological dimensions of astrology, but also ancient astrology is really very, very good at developing your predictive capacity. We talk about what kinds of predictions are appropriate, how to make appropriate predictions, how to be the right kind of astrologer for our clients without inducing any fear. So there's a lot of care that goes into the development of this craft. But ancient astrology is really amazing when it comes to honing your predictive abilities. And then what you'll find is in this program, there's also a pretty significant emphasis on the psychological dimensions and client care. Anyhow, we go into the roots of ancient Hellenistic astrology and its techniques in this program, and the 30 classes are broken into modules. We work through the history and philosophy. We work through planets, houses, signs, aspects, essential and accidental dignities. And then we get into approaches to the delineation of natal charts. And then at the end of the program, almost a third of the program is dedicated to live client readings, where you're going to see me meet with a person and apply what we've been studying for an hour-long reading. We take a break, we come back, and then we workshop. How did I do that? Why did I make these choices? How did I handle this or that came up in the reading? And it becomes easily the favorite part for most students of the entire program, because by that point, you've got so much theory that you're really ready to see it put into action. We alternate those live client practice sessions with hands-on practice, where students get to bring chart questions into class that we work on. And that's also something that most people really love. A lot of people will look at the curriculum and say, well, I already know planets, houses, and signs and aspects and dignities. But not if you haven't studied Hellenistic astrology, because the approach that ancient astrologers had to these topics is vastly different from the approach that modern astrologers take. So you will be, in a sense, relearning basic things in a brand new way. And I think a much more enriching, deep, and philosophically clear way. It's really nice to know the why behind things. This program and Hellenistic astrology in general is very good at helping you understand the why behind everything that we do. Also, it's really important to participate when you study astrology in a living lineage. So one of the reasons I don't let people jump ahead to my second or third year programs is because I want you to be entrained to a lineage, a particular way of doing things that comes from an astrologer who has a very living, busy, active practice and who has had teachers themselves. I think that's important for astrological learning. That's the model that my own learning take, and so that's what I really want students to take away from my programs. Anyhow, so all of that aside, the second year program focuses, after we build our understanding of the basic delineation techniques of birth charts, in year 2, we move into timing techniques, which is all about when the karma of a birth chart is going to be active and expressing itself throughout the course of a lifetime. That's year 2. Year 3 focuses on the development of counseling skills at a much deeper level. And then we also have a 1-year horary program, which is about the development of a very specific predictive technique that can be a really amazing tool to add to your kit. That is 4 years worth of training programs that we have. However, I want to mention that many people take our classes just for the sake, purely for the sake of their own personal growth. Taking these programs is very much like being taught how to utilize a technology that for yourself will be deeply useful for the rest of your life, and maybe for close friends or family members around you. Many people come through our programs taking that benefit away. Will study through all 4 years of our programs with no intention of being professional. This is their hobby. This is a spiritual tool that will have it will pay dividends over a long period of time. However, many people without the intention to practice come into our courses and discover that they're actually good at it and may end up reading for other people part-time. And then there are students who are deeply, intensely motivated to practice for other people. And it is not that our programs really make those people successful. Our programs contribute to your development, but it really is that some people have a calling to practice professionally. And these programs are designed to give you all the tools you need to develop that confidence and to develop a really coherent set of tools and to entrain yourself to a lineage, which you can also develop your own unique style out of. So those are some of the, the kinds of people that take our programs, you might say. So the 30 classes on the year are then broken into modules. And in between modules, we have 2 course directors who are present in all of the classes, and they lead breakout tutoring sessions where you can come in and review or ask questions about the module that we've just completed, which is usually anywhere between 2 and 3 classes each. So those breakout study sessions led by our tutors are outside of the 30 classes and very useful. A lot of people like to attend those because they also offer opportunity for community and just lively conversation. We also have 12 online webinar classes led by guest teachers that we host throughout the year. Those are free, and if you can't make them live, they're all uploaded into your student folder. You also have an interactive group forum discussion staffed with tutors who typically respond to questions that you have about the material within 24 hours. So if you can't attend a tutoring session or you just have a random question on a Tuesday night, you can pop it in there and you'll get an answer. We also have a ton of bonus material, optional quizzes, flashcards, tons of supplemental material that is there to help people go as deeply as they want. We have a reading list that is expansive. And that reading list, we don't expect anyone to accomplish. It's more so a resource that we give you saying, here, if you want to know all the things I've read, if you want to know all the things that I love, if you want to know all the things I recommend, here's a master list of everything for each lesson. You could go, PhD level if you wanted to and read thousands and thousands of pages, or you might find that there's just one extra book that looks really interesting and you want to pick it up. But we pride ourselves on making sure you have a ton of resources. You have lifetime access to all the class recordings. You can email our staff or me throughout the year with questions, and my staff will also defer to me in the case that they don't know the answer to a question. So that is what the program includes. It starts November 16th. If you would like to join, at the bottom between now and October 15th, our early bird payments are available. So that saves you some money off the cost of the course. There is a 12-month installment plan that is cheaper than our normal plan, a one-time payment that's significantly cheaper than our normal one-time payment. So you get these little sales that we do until October 15th. We also have need-based tuition assistance. So if you are someone who would like to take this program, but you are on a fixed or tight budget, we have an application there. Click apply now. Just tell us what you need. We give a range. We say between this dollar amount and this dollar amount, what can you spend? And then we set you up with a plan for that tuition number per month. And that is available for anyone. We ask people to apply early because those spots are limited, but we are really accommodating. We try to make sure that nobody's priced out of a spiritual education. Like, this topic should be very accessible for people because I believe that the divine is speaking through the sky, and like anyone should have access to understanding what it's saying, right? So anyway, that is a bit about the program. I hope that this has been useful for you. If there are any questions you have, you can look over the curriculum content on the page, on the year 1 page. There's more information there. Check out the FAQ section for more questions. Email us info@nightlightastrology.com. And I hope to see some of you in class soon. I think this is going to be a really powerful program because it's also starting right as Pluto's moving into Aquarius. And within the year, we're going to have a Uranus-Pluto trine with Uranus in Gemini. These airy signatures and the connection between Uranus and Pluto make for a very powerful year to advance our understanding of astrology. So it's a great election year for studying, and I hope to see some of you in class soon.